My name is Mike, and this is the bored cyborg. Blah! That's a bad impression. Arnold Schwarzenegger. A name familiar to most. A man that's larger than life. A man that's accomplished many great things in his career. An international phenomenon. All you need to do is utter the word Arnold and instantly everyone knows who you're talking about. Like a lot of kids that grew up during the 80s and the 90s, I grew up watching Arnie's movies. In a way, he helped raise me. He helped me distinguish good from evil, and prove to me that good will always prevail. Some people are taught by their parents, some their teacher, some their preacher. But for me, an action movie hero with an unpronounceable surname was all three of those things, give or take. It just so happens that his teaching methods included obliterating evil with big machine guns, throbbing muscles, and wicked one-liners.
Let off some steam, Bennett.
With that said, Arnold is one of my favorite actors of all time, period. Some say he's not much of an actor. I say f*** some. He's made more kick-ass action films than any actor in history, and his films in the 80s and 90s speak for themselves. He's a legend, but even legends are human. And sometimes, humans make shit. So today, I'll be counting down and detailing the 6 shittiest films that Arnie's made throughout his illustrious career. I've seen all of the man's work, save for Stay Hungry and Pumping Iron, but I hear good things about both of those, and I highly doubt that they'd eclipse anything that I've chosen for this list. The 6 films I've picked are honestly the only films that Arnie has a significant role in that I would call shitty. Although it's warranted, everyone has talked the man's classic films to death. So I'm here to talk about the films that spend their time wallowing at the bottom of the Schwarzenegger shit barrel. Oh joy, oh rapture, let us begin. Get to the chopper!
Number 6.
Number 6 is a film that is indubitably shit, but it's fun, entertaining shit, and it gave the world its first glance at the godlike Austrian bodybuilder that would become the biggest action movie star the world had ever seen. The film? Hercules in New York from 1969, Arnie's first feature film. Clearly inspired by the vast number of Hercules films that were produced in Italy during the 50s and 60s, starring prototype action heroes like Steve Reeves and Reg Park, Hercules in New York was only the second film produced in America with the name Hercules in the title, the other being The Three Stooges Meet Hercules. The film was released during the pinnacle of his bodybuilding days, which led to him ultimately being noticed. At the time, Arnold was Mr. Universe, and the following year he would be crowned Mr. Olympia, the greatest bodybuilder in all of the land. Naturally, some not-so-Hollywood honchos took notice and gave him his first shot at becoming the next big thing in the movies. The 22-year-old buff and baby-faced Arnie was credited as Arnold Strong. What, was Schwarzenegger not marketable or something? I don't get it. In Hercules in New York, Arnie proved that he had presence, mostly due to his inhuman, godly physique. But unfortunately, muscles can't act. Honestly, this is the only film with Arnie where I would consider his performance ass juice.
I am tired of the same old faces, the same old things.
He has no fucking idea what's going on, and neither did I while watching the movie. He has zero emotion and expression, and lumbers around New York looking like a walking, pulsating piece of oiled up machinery. I own the Trimark DVD and watched the cut with Arnie's original dub, since I wouldn't have it any other way. How dare the filmmakers overdub Arnold fucking Schwarzenegger? I'm sure he made them pay. With that said, it's obvious that he memorized his lines phonetically, and every single thing he utters is as awkward as pissing yourself in public.
They will not like me to instruct them.
No, it's just for college guys. No outsiders allowed.
I am Hercules.
But god damn is it funny. The story is simple. Hercules wants to go on an adventure on Earth, and after some arguing with Papa Zeus, he sends him on his way.
It means you will stay, and I don't wish to hear another word on the subject.
I won't stay.
The rest of the film follows Herc as he becomes a professional wrestler, befriends a puny and putsy New Yorker named Pretzi.
Well, they call me Pretzi because, you see, I sell pretzels on the waterfront there. Yeah.
And beats the shit out of random people. There's also a first-person fist-punching shot, as well as a chariot scene with Arnie racing down a major street in Manhattan like Ben fucking Hur. I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty sweet. I actually like the idea of the film, putting Hercules in a situation where customs, rules, and laws are something that he gives zero fucks about. But the film's poor production values and script, along with Arnie's awful, yet somewhat still charming performance land this one in so good it's bad territory.
As I have told you, I'm Hercules.
Which is alright by me. The film's shit, but grab a few friends and some legal and not so legal substances, kick back and bask in the shittiness.
Number 5.
Number 5 is a film that came out shortly after Arnie's return to the big screen after being the governor of California for some time. The film is David Ayer's brutal 2014 crime flick, Sabotage. Ayer's a filmmaker that I do respect, but I don't think he's a very good director. He's written some great films like Training Day and Narc, but nothing he's directed has ever blown me away. His films are just average, gritty crime action thrillers, and Sabotage is no exception. Arnie plays Breacher, the squad leader of a group of covert DEA agents who infiltrate drug cartels and take them out. But in the opening sequence, we learn that him and his crew are not the most moral of law enforcement folk. Imagine that. It's a cool enough idea that is completely squandered by Ayer's poor writing and direction. 75% of the dialogue between the crew consists of pussy, dick, fart, and your mother jokes.
How's he tattooing a dick on your back, Pyro?
Arnie isn't the problem here. As mentioned earlier, Hercules in New York is really the only film in his career where I would say he was a problem. It's Ayer. He created a bunch of unlikable, shitty characters who banter constantly and made me feel like I was watching a bunch of drunk, testosterone-fueled Duck Dynasty fans having a barbecue. I was elated when they started getting killed off. The only characters that are bearable are Arnie's Breacher and Olivia Williams as FBI agent Brentwood. She's cool and collected and has the least amount of cringeworthy lines, so that's a plus. I do want to praise the film for its unflinching violence and its practical and plentiful gore, but that can't save a shit script and a mediocre director. Too bad the shoddy editing and cinematography basically snuff out the decent gore effects. Another huge issue with the film is Arnie's motivation. I just don't buy it. I'm not going to get into spoilers, but his actions don't feel believable, nor do they make any fucking sense. Arnie serves as the backbone, and he's entertaining to watch and gives it his all, but he's given very little to make something out of. Also, any movie in the last 25 years that has the word booyah in it is totally bogus, home slice. I'm gonna go get jiggy with it.
Number 4.
Further and further into the Schwarzenegger shit swamp we swim. Number 4 was such a disappointment for me. I thought it was average after catching it in the theaters, but watching it a second time made me want to punch puppies. When this film was announced following Arnie's return to film, I distinctly remember shitting myself. It was Arnold's return as his most popular and iconic character, the Terminator. The film is Terminator Genisys, with a Y, like system. Otherwise known as, let's create the most ridiculous, lazy, and pointless retread of a classic franchise while adding nothing new besides a personalized headache to those who watch it.
I'm not machine. Not man. I'm more.
The positives? Old Arnie, young Arnie, Arnie with a shotgun, Arnold fucking Schwarzenegger as the Terminator, and a few of the special effects. The negatives? I'm really trying to keep this short. The casting is awful, as Alan Taylor directs the worst Sarah Connor, Kyle Reese, and John Connor that the world has ever seen, and hopefully ever will. You've got the ethereally beautiful dragon chick from Game of Thrones, Emilia Clarke, as Sarah Connor, whose character should be anything but ethereally beautiful. You've got Jai, please help me, I can't act, Courtney as Kyle Reese, and Jason Clarke as John Connor? Really? Zero groundbreaking special effects, a time travel narrative that takes the pussy way out and creates a new timeline, very little impact during the lackluster action sequences, cringy fan service ad nauseum, it's convoluted, makes no sense, and it's a circle jerk of already used concepts. Yeah, that about sums it up.
Number 3.
Number 3 is an odd one for me to review. It's one of Arnie's latest attempts at breaking into more dramatic roles as he gets older, and to be honest, he does a fine job. But the film is shit. It's Aftermath from 2017, directed by some guy. It follows Arnie's character Roman in the aftermath of an airplane accident that claimed his wife, daughter, and unborn child. Very uplifting stuff. It also follows the life of a man played by Scoot McNairy, who was essentially responsible for the accident and sort of how he deals with it. And it's the better aspect of the film. But the film is so fucking boring, and nothing happens until the last 10 minutes, which admittedly caught me off guard, but not really in a good way. The direction is fine, but the script and Arnie's character are not. Roman is a good man who is now broken, and he spends the entire film shoving a photo of his dead family into people's faces in order to find out who was responsible for the accident because he wants them to say sorry.
Look at this photo. I would like for someone to say that they're sorry for killing my family.
My issues with the film are similar to the issues I have with Arnold's character in Sabotage. Again, without spoiling anything, his character makes a decision in the final 10 minutes which I did not buy at all. It was one of those jarring moments where a character does something that has little to no precedent as to why, and it didn't seem in line with the character's moral compass. That's not to say that the first 80 minutes held my attention, because they didn't. The film is a drag. It's slow, it's depressing, and it commits the greatest sin in all of cinema. It's fucking boring. This is a straight-up drama where the drama does not work. The dialogue alienates its audience as opposed to connecting with it. It hits beats where better dramas would provide some profound dialogue, but this film fails to deliver any sort of emotional gut punch or evoke any tears or raw emotion. My telltale sign of a shitty drama. We do get to see Arnie's wrinkly but still ripped naked ass, which is something that I never thought I wanted to see before it was there on my television screen.
Number 2.
Deeper and deeper we dive into the sea of shitty Schwarzenegger films. This is another weird one. A live-action Western Looney Tunes mashup starring Arnie, Kirk Douglas, and Anne Margaret called The Villain from 1979. Directed by Hal Needham, who had a string of hits in the 70s and 80s with films like Smokey and the Bandit and Cannonball Run, The Villain has an intriguing concept that does not work at all. It's essentially an 89-minute long Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote Looney Tunes short. But there's a good reason why Warner Brothers decided to make them Looney Tunes shorts as opposed to features. Nobody wants to sit down for an hour and a half and watch Wile E. Coyote chase the Roadrunner around. Well, maybe some people do, but as much as I adore Looney Tunes, I don't. Arnie plays the naive and dim-witted Handsome Stranger. Not a character named Handsome Stranger, but a character whose name is Handsome Stranger.
I'm Handsome Stranger.
Yes, you are.
How clever. There's also a character named Parody. Gotta love the subtle humor. Handsome Stranger is tasked with escorting Anne Margaret's charming Jones across the Old West to bring a large sum of borrowed money to her father, or some stupid shit like that. I don't know. I don't fucking care. Kirk Douglas is having a hell of a time playing the live-action Wile E. Coyote, and he always does well with what he's given. But what he's given in The Villain is shit, and he does his best to use that turd crayon to make art. And he fails.
I seek Great Chief's help.
Released 10 years after Hercules in New York, Arnold has a better grasp on the language, he's got a bit more experience and presence, and he definitely feels more comfortable in front of the camera. As per usual, he plays the character as well as he can, but it is an awful character. In fact, all of the characters are piss poor. And you can't forget the blatantly whitewashed Native Americans that I'm sure was a conscious attempt at humor.
Nervous elk. Not now. Huh? Crazy white woman. Always shoot self before me have chance to find out.
Ha ha ha. Ha 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 ha. You know the film is shit when the best character is a horse named Whiskey. The humor is all over the place, never striking anything that resembles consistency. The film goes as far as having Looney Tunes-esque music cues and sound effects, but it just makes you wish that you were watching an actual Looney Tunes short. The narration songs got old as soon as they began, and it is a grueling task to sit through this shitfest. It's boring with uninteresting, one-dimensional characters, and it's a comedy that is not funny. And watching it makes you wish an anvil would plummet from the sky to put you out of your misery. Fuck this movie.
Number 1.
We are neck deep in shitty Schwarzenegger movies now, and we are about to be completely submerged in shit. You better hold your breath. The worst, most shittiest Schwarzenegger film in existence is Christmas in Connecticut, a TV movie from 1992. Now, some may view my number one choice as a cop-out, so I have two things to say to those fine folks. One, fuck off, it's my list, and two, Arnie directed this piece of garbage, so it's his film. It is an Arnold Schwarzenegger film, and it is his worst film. Besides, he has a pointless cameo in it, so there you go, he's in it. This remake of a supposed Christmas classic from 1945 is an abomination of poor filmmaking and inept storytelling.
I thought we went through this 3 months ago. What? No more pesto.
I'm genuinely glad that Arnie got to direct something that I'm sure meant something to him, but there is a good reason why he never returned to the director's chair. A damn good reason. Funny enough, this wasn't his first directing job. In 1990, he directed an episode of Tales from the Crypt called The Switch, which is actually pretty good, mostly because it's a solid story, and less because of how competently it's directed. A little backstory: I was born, grew up in, and spent 25 years of my life in Stamford, Connecticut. And there aren't many memories I hold as dear as those I have of Christmas time in New England. Where I grew up, it's what I would consider a real winter season. It's bitingly cold, there's always an abundance of snow, and the smell of pine and burning wood always made me feel safe and comfortable. This piece of shit made me feel pissed and uncomfortable. It does nothing to accentuate or even comment on the magic of Christmas, and especially the better magic of Christmas time in New England. You have Chris Christopherson as gruff woodsman guy, Tony Curtis as old TV producer scumbag, Diane Cannon as actress chef lady, and Pugsley from the Addams Family, and they're all caught in an unrelenting whirlwind of fecal matter. And it features a 1992 version of Seth Rogen who was actually sort of funny if they hadn't ruined it by cutting to him 70 fucking times.
No, I don't want the phone. Get out of here. You're fired. Wait, give me some coffee, and then you're fired.
I'm not even gonna discuss what the story is about, because I intend to keep those of you watching awake. All you need to know is it sucks shit through a straw. This film has nothing going for it, and it suffers the same horrid fate that the majority of the films on this list suffer from. It's so boring. There is literally a 2-minute scene of Chris Christopherson and Diane Cannon bathing a baby in a sink. Like, hell, the most exciting scene in the entire film is when Diane Cannon's character flips a flapjack in slow motion. Whoa, cool. By the 45-minute mark, I found myself fighting the urge to douse myself in kerosene and play with matches. The best part of the film is when we see Arnie's comedy classic Twins playing on a TV in the background for 4 seconds. I was in heaven. Then I was violently ripped back into the depths of hell and forced to sit through the rest of this cursed anathema. It's so bad I thought of calling my mom and having a Lifetime movies marathon. It's a comedy that's never funny, and the root canal I had last month was a more humorous experience than watching this. This comedy makes Arnie's Jr. look like Airplane. On top of all that glowing praise, it's also one of the whitest movies I've ever seen in my entire life, even whiter than the Brady Bunch movie. But then Shaft shows up.
You're damn right.
I'm sorry I went on a bit of a tirade there, but all joking aside, this film is the antithesis of why I love movies. Of all the films Arnie could have helmed, what compelled him to direct a remake of a 1945 Christmas movie? I love you, Arnie, but I don't get it. However, there is something impressive about this movie. This film holds 2 dishonorable distinctions. It's the worst Arnie film I've ever seen, and it's also the worst Christmas film I've ever seen. So congratulations, Christmas in Connecticut, you won nothing. I'm done now. Christmas in Connecticut, I'm gonna go watch one of the best Christmas movies ever made, and I'm gonna watch it until my eyes bleed. Jingle all the way, baby. Hell yeah. I just want to thank you guys for checking out my list of the top 6 shittiest Schwarzenegger films of all time. I hope you all enjoyed it, and I would love to know what your least favorite Arnold Schwarzenegger films are. So feel free to list them in the comments below. If you like what you saw in this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up, and if you want to see more videos like this, I release at least 2 a month, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button, as well as the little bell for notifications. Anyway guys, I will see you next time. Bored Cyborg out. Now get out of here!